What's happening, everybody? Grand Prix GTB02 here, kicking it back once again up here at Hyundai here in the north end of Houston, Texas. And today I've got the keys to a rather uncommon version of the new generation 2016 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Now the reason I say it's uncommon is this is a version that's not normally sold here in the Houston area. But today I'm here to see if this plug-in partial hybrid electric version has anything to say against the normal hybrids you can buy anywhere else. Alrighty guys, so here we are, the 2016 Hyundai Sonata plug-in hybrid. Now for starters, I'm going to say that I do have a little bit more of a limited time frame to actually deal with this vehicle, being the fact that this is the only one here in the Houston area and it has been sold already. So I'm going to try to cover as much detail about what makes this particular car special, but hopefully do it in a shorter amount of time. And the best way I can do that is by starting with the biggest headline of all, which of course is the plug-in part. Unlike a normal hybrid, which uses the combination of the electric battery or the electric motors and the gasoline engine range extender, this car can actually be driven strictly on electric power alone. Now I know that sounds like pretty much a normal hybrid, but also unlike a normal hybrid, this car can be driven at strictly on electric power alone at any given speed, unlike a normal hybrid, which only allows you to travel on electric power at slower speeds, such as when you're cruising around town and whatnot. But then once you get up to, like, say, highway speed, the gas engine range extender will kick in and also save you wear and tear on the batteries, and also use things such as regenerative braking to recharge the batteries. Now the electric range for the plug-in hybrid is 27 miles, which really doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that really does mean that you could drive your whole commute to work on electric power, such as what the general manager did for Hyundai here, being the fact that he used this particular car as a demo vehicle, which is why it has almost 4,000 miles on it at the current moment of this video before it goes on to its new owner. So basically he was able to drive his entire commute from his home in downtown Houston all the way up here to the north end just on electric power alone. Now the benefit of that is, being the fact it comes with its own portable charger, you can simply plug it into a wall, plug in the car, and by the time you go home after an 8 or 9 hour day, the car should have enough of a charge to actually get you back home on electric power alone as well. Now, as far as exterior styling wise, it's pretty much exactly the same as a normal Sonata hybrid. And this particular one I'm showing you guys is completely and totally loaded out. This is a 2016 Sonata Hybrid Plug-in Limited. So this has pretty much every option in the book, and that's been further extended by the addition of the available Ultimate package. Now, the Ultimate package with the plug-in hybrid is a little bit different, being the most obvious fact that it is missing the panoramic sunroof. But that kind of really doesn't detract from the car, because there is still a whole ton to talk about with this car. For starters, being the fact it's the hybrid, you can tell that the front fascia is a little bit different compared to a normal Sonata, and you can see certain key differences here with things like the headlights. They are a little bit more rounded in design. They do look very similar to the ones that you'll find on a standard hybrid, but then also you have this gaping big wide grille here. Now this little black plastic piece, this is part of the safety features that come with the Ultimate package. So you have things such as forward collision warning, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring. You also have automatic emergency braking, and just the list goes on and on. Now also down here, you have the high intensity discharge projector headlights with the LED accents, which are these little white things right here. You also have the LED fog lights down here. And one cool thing to make this car as aerodynamic as possible, again, being the fact it's a hybrid and fuel efficiency is the name of the game, Hyundai has integrated these nice little slipstream tunnels here in the front fascia. So you have these little holes that come out here and flow over the wheels and down the side of the car, thus making the coefficient of drag, I think it's around 0.24 or 0.25 or something like that. It's absolutely unreal how slippery this mid-size sedan actually is when driving down the road. Now up at the front here, pretty much the same story as the standard Sonata hybrid. It's a 2-liter gasoline direct injected 4-cylinder engine, but that is also mated to a new lithium polymer battery cell, which Hyundai has actually been able to configure to a more usable sort of system where it actually can make the trunk a completely flat floor and also now have the availability of the 60/40 split fold rear seats inside. So this is now one of the more usable hybrids that you will find on the road. Now here at the back of the car, you can see they also have the standard LED taillights. So you have the clear lenses, defining it as a hybrid a little bit more than a standard Sonata. This one does have the smart trunk access system, so you walk up to the back with the key fob in your pocket, and it should start beeping at you. And as if by magic, there you go. And finishing things off here at the back of the vehicle, you also do have the rear parking assist sensors, which you can see are those little black dots lining the rear bumper. You also have the rear view camera hidden just underneath the Hyundai logo back here. And for those of you who are curious, yes, you can turn off that hands-free smart trunk access. You just have to do it through the information center in the electroluminescent gauge cluster. Now also finishing this thing off, the color of this car is definitely one of controversy because in some lights it looks kind of like a light gray, but in other colors, but in other lights such as in this bright Texas sunlight we have right now, it appears kind of a off like seafoam green color. This is the controversial Seaport Mist exterior, and it's not exactly been a popular color for Hyundai, but for me, I actually do like it. I actually think it looks very, very smart, especially on the hybrid. And also, what also looks very smart to me are these 17-inch Eco Spoke alloy wheels. These are standard on the limited version. You can get this car also, like the regular hybrid, as an SE, but that of course detracts a few features such as the Ultimate package and whatnot that we have on this particular car. And finishing everything off, we of course do have the proximity key keyless access. We have chrome door handles all the way around, LED turn signals on the body colored mirrors, and then of course you have the true giveaway that tells you that this car is the plug-in hybrid, which is the fact that on the driver's side here underneath the blue drive logo you have the nice little charging station. So even if the car is locked, you can simply push on it, open it up, and you've got your nice little charging port back there. And as you saw in the trunk, this car does come with its own portable charging station, as I mentioned before. So overall, it looks pretty much the same as a normal Sonata hybrid, but it drives completely differently. So being the fact we've looked at the exterior, we've gotten a little bit of a reason as to why this car is a little bit more special. Let's take a look inside and see if we can find any differences there. Now when you compare this car to a normal Sonata hybrid, most of the standard stuff that you'll find on this limited trim level is also what you'll find on the standard Sonata hybrid as well. The first of which being the proximity key keyless access system. So I have the little fob here. You just put it in your pocket, your purse, whatever. You can see the car is locked right now. You just hit the button. The 2 beeps indicates that the vehicle is now unlocked. Now, accenting the Seaport Mist exterior of this car, we also have a gray leather interior, but examining the interior itself, you can see that a lot of features, styling cues, and technology are very much related to not only the Sonata hybrid, but also the standard Sonata gas-powered lineup as well. So we have the standard gray leather seats. These are heated and air-conditioned as part of the Ultimate package on this particular car. Both the passenger and driver's seat on the plug-in are power adjustable. You also also have a tilt and telescoping leather trim steering wheel. You have the wood grain trim here on the door that goes across parts of the dash and only extends around to the passenger door before it continues on as a separate piece in the rear compartment of the vehicle. And as far as aesthetics go, certain materials, I mean, they do feel decent in to the touch. They do have some kind of padding to them, but like on the upper part of the door, the material kind of feels a little rubbery, a little on the cheaper side, and being the fact that this car starts at just under 35 grand before the government gives you a $5,000 tax credit for driving a hybrid or electric vehicle, you would think that the materials inside would be a little bit nicer. Like the wood kind of feels a little plasticky, feels a little cheap. Here in the middle of the door, it's a little more hard touch plastics, kind of a larger grain. You do have some padded leather surfaces here for the middle of the door. You do have a little bit of kind of a leatherette material here for the door handle and stuff like that, and it continues on around to where I would rest my elbow. Now you do have all your standard power conveniences, including a 2-person memory setting for the power driver's seat, but that also includes your power mirrors, your power door locks, the keyless access as I showed you before. You have automatic one-touch driver and passenger windows, the rest of your power windows, and of course your window locks. Now as far as the power driver's seat is concerned, you do have 4-way lumbar support. You also have multi-way recline and also multi-way distance control as well. Now, once it comes to stepping into the interior of the Sonata Hybrid, it still is very much like the gas-powered and hybrid vehicles or versions that you will find across the rest of the lineup. The interior, very roomy. Again, this being one of the class leaders, if not the overall class leader in terms of interior space. I believe there's about 106 cubic feet of total interior passenger volume, and that does include those very roomy back seats, which we'll get to here in a minute. But it is a little bit hot out here, so I'm going to go ahead and start this thing up. I have the key fob in my pocket, so all you have to do, just put your foot on the brake, hit the button on the dash, and you should get some power. Now, once you finally sit yourself down in the driver's seat of this plug-in hybrid, you'll start to notice that pretty much everything in here is straight out of the most loaded models of the standard gas-powered Sonata and indeed the standard Sonata hybrid. So, sitting directly here in front of you, you have a leather-trimmed 4-spoke multifunction steering wheel with all of your usual controls that you would come to expect. So you have your voice recognition with hands-free Bluetooth, you have your hands-free radio controls, you have the buttons over here that not only control the cruise control and also the active cruise control in the front, but you also have this little one here that looks like a book, which controls your liquid crystal display between your power meter in this case and also your speedometer. And one thing I failed to mention is, even though this car has a 27-mile electric range, which is what you can drive on electricity alone, that is further extended by a up to 590-mile gas range provided by the 2-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder engine up front. So that does mean that you can actually drive almost 600 miles, or actually over 600 miles on electric and gas power combined. So quite a distance that you can go in this particular vehicle here. But as far as everything else, as far as what you get in that little screen, you can switch back and forth. You've got your compass, you've got your lane departure warning system, your audio visuals such as media, tire pressures, and then you can go through different options such as turning on or off the smart trunk that I told you before, which there it is right there. So you can also do things such as your driving assist, your smart cruise control, rear cross traffic alert. You can turn that on or off, and just basically all your different things such as your interior lights, service intervals, and so on. And then you flick it back and you can go up and down and check out things such as your average fuel economy, which, as you can see, the general manager here was driving on electric power only, so it is showing 99.9 miles per gallon. Hasn't used a drop of gas yet. You can go back down, you can show trip meters, different things like that, just a digital speedometer. You have your driving style, which this is pretty cool, shows you whether you're driving aggressively, normal, or economically, which you can see the majority has been economical. My boss isn't very much of a lead foot here. But then you keep going, you also have the energy flow, so between the battery and the engine, which you can see a larger display of that over here on the 8-inch touchscreen display, which we'll get to that here in just a minute. But as far as everything else that's directly in front of the driver, as I said, you have automatic headlights as well. That also does come with auto high beam assist with those high intensity discharge projector headlights and the LED fog lights down below. You have your trunk button here to the left. You also have your lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, instrument dimming, traction control, and also opening the fuel door, which hopefully you won't have to use that button very much at all. But now getting over here to the center stack, and of course it is dominated by, like I said, the 8-inch touchscreen display. Now, what I have it in here is quite possibly the most important thing out of the whole, all of the stuff that you can have in this navigation system here. This is the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle setting. So not only do you have your active economy meter, which, as I said, again is reading 99.9 mpg, combined, the GM here at the dealership has actually had it about 79 miles per gallon combined, which is pretty insane. Hyundai rates this car at 39 miles per gallon combined with a 99 mile per gallon electric equivalent. So that is quite interesting. You can also see things such as your energy information, battery information, and energy flow. You can go back. As you can see, you can do your eco driving, so it tells you how fuel efficiently you're driving using either hybrid fuel economy, electric motor, or what have you. You can also see eco levels and stuff. You can also see your electric vehicle range. Just keep going back here, and overall the touch responses are very similar to a lot of other Hyundai deals. You touch it and it takes maybe about a millisecond or so. It's not the most responsive thing in the world. You can see different charging stations around your area. It'll show you where you can actually find them. Go back, you can see different gas stations. You can set charging times when you actually want to actually charge the vehicle, hopefully over its full cycle. And overall, that's really pretty much it. That's about the most important thing you're going to have in this whole thing. Everything else, you have your standard navigation that you'll find in pretty much any other loaded Sonata that comes with this touchscreen display and navigation. The graphics are pretty much exactly the same. Again, the touch responses are very much the same as well. Now, as far as the stereo system goes, this one has the upgraded Infinity audio system, and I will tell you, this thing packs a hell of a punch. So even without the bass cranked all the way up, you can hear it does pack a pretty good punch. So I'll just turn it back to where he had it before. Push on the home button. You have all your different menus. So again, it's very much like a smartphone. You have your auxiliary inputs, Pandora internet radio, navigation, Bluetooth telephone, Hyundai BlueLink telematics and car care. So that's things like you can power up the car, you can unlock it via your smartphone, telephone communication, and all that. And basically, that's about it. There's really not too much to actually go over that you won't find in a standard Sonata as well. Now, moving down here to the rest of the center stack, we of course have all of the physical buttons. So if you can't be bothered to use the touchscreen, you have your radio, media, phone, you have your BlueLink, you have your seek track buttons, map and voice, navigation such as setting points of destination and so on, vehicle info, and also your setup. You can even choose to turn the display off overall. You have this little button up in the upper right hand corner of the screen. You can actually turn it off. This also does come with high definition radio, so you get the clearest possible sound out of it as well. Even further down from those buttons, you do have the dual zone climate control system. You do have the 3-stage heated and air conditioned seats, as I mentioned before. Fan speed in the middle. You have your sync button, which allows you to control the temperatures either by themselves or control them both at the same time. Otherwise known as independently or simultaneously for those who like big words. You do have the air conditioning recycling. You have the air conditioning econ mode, which will dull it down to allow for more fuel efficient driving. You have the heated mode for the leather wrapped steering wheel, front and rear defroster, and you can even choose to have only the driver get the air conditioning, so it will close off everything else and it will direct air only towards the driver. Now, moving down from that, you do have the standard iPod USB and auxiliary inputs, as I mentioned before. And the big difference between this hybrid, and not so much the standard Sonata hybrid, but a lot of other hybrids out there on the market, including the Honda Accord hybrid, the Toyota Camry hybrid, and so on, is the fact that unlike them, this uses a traditional 6-speed automatic transmission. It uses the gears in different ratios to allow the car to move forward, but also still maintain maximum maximum levels of fuel economy. So unlike most of them which use a standard CVT, so you have the typical stuff, park, reverse, neutral, drive. You also have manual shift mode, which simulates the 6 gears if you even are bothered to try to change the gears yourself. Like I said, it does have a rear view camera, so you pop it into reverse, you get the little beep, and it tells you that the camera is on. It does have trajectory, so when you turn the wheel, you can see that the guidance lines will follow whichever direction you happen to turn the wheel. You also have the child protective safety locks, or the automatic safety locks in this case. The child locks are in the rear. The automatic safety locks will automatically lock when the vehicle's in gear. However, you can actually pop the door open when the vehicle is in gear. So if you have the automatic locks engaged at any point in time, you can actually tug on the door handle and actually open it up that way, which is a little bit concerning if you were perhaps to transport your friends or anybody else in this particular vehicle. Now you also have a few buttons behind that. You have the auto hold function, which basically means you can take your foot off the brake and the car will hold itself even if you're on an incline or even if you're on a flat plain ground. It works all the same. You have an electric parking brake, so you just pull up to set it. You can see that the icon appears on the dash. All you do is put your foot on the brake, push forward on the trigger, and that automatically releases it. A few other buttons down here. You also have the parking assist. You can turn it off. You have the drive mode, which this car does not come with the sport mode, being the fact that the aim of the game here is fuel efficiency. It only goes between eco and normal. You can drive it strictly in electric mode. That is done by this HEV button here. So when you have a full charge, you can push that and drive it strictly on electric power alone. But overall, as far as everything else, again, it's very much standard Sonata. You have the dual tier center console here with nice and deep, no extra plugs or anything like that down in there. You do have a nice little tray as well. And then of course it's wrapped in the same kind of leatherette material that you would find in the door. And finally, looking up top, you do have the HomeLink garage door system. Not sure how well you'll be able to see that, but there's 3 little buttons right here that actually have the garage door icons on them. You also have the compass up there in the upper right hand corner, and of course Hyundai's BlueLink SOS and BlueLink communications up there in the mirror as well. Now moving on to the back seat of the Sonata Hybrid, as I said, it's pretty much like your standard Sonata, being the fact that there's no giant hump back in the trunk where the batteries would be. You don't have to worry about that intruding into interior space. So stepping into the back here, I'm 6'1". I have plenty of space here between my knees and the back of the seat. Unfortunately, the back of the seat is lined in plastic, so if your knees do happen to hit the back of the seat, that won't exactly feel the best. You do have leather mat pockets behind the driver's seat and also behind the passenger seat as well. You do have cup holders here in the back and also some up there in the front. And then of course you have your 12 volt 180 watt outlet down there and a couple of air vents to go along with it as well. Now also here in the center, apparently I was off. The rear seats apparently do not fold down in this car. I thought they did. The standard hybrid does, but I'm not seeing any kind of trigger here nor any kind of pass-through. But anyways, you also have just your standard cup holders here in the back. And other than that, it's a very spacious place to be. Again, this is a class leader, not only in terms of the standard Sonata or the standard midsize range, but you also do have the hybrid electric range as well. Now finally getting around to the trunk space of the plug-in hybrid, like I said, there's not a giant hump here in the back, but you do have a small little hump here in the back as well, probably the reason why those seats aren't 60/40 like I was saying before. So ultimately I was wrong on that one. But anyways, as far as trunk space is concerned, you're looking at 13.3 cubic feet of space with that annoying hump there in the middle. You can probably set something on top of it. Maybe if you're really in a pinch and need to stuff something in there, maybe a small bag or something will do. But you do have other little things here in the side, other little areas you can open. There's your battery, so you can jump start it if you need to. And overall, it's still a very usable trunk. As I said before, you also have the charging cable, which the GM has actually at his home at the moment, being the fact that this was his demo car. So that is the bag that the charging station comes in. And again, you also have the hands-free smart trunk access as well. Now Now finally getting up under the hood of the plug-in hybrid, you're not going to find anything too extraordinarily different when you compare it to a normal Sonata hybrid. In fact, aside from the fact that this is the plug-in version, you won't find anything different at all. Instead, what you'll find is a 2-liter Atkinson cycle direct fuel injected 4-cylinder engine combined with a 50 kilowatt interior permanent magnet synchronous electric motor, producing a total net horsepower output of 202 horsepower, with the gas engine producing 154 horsepower on its own and the electric motor producing 67 horsepower on its own. Now, like I said, Hyundai rates this car at 39 miles per gallon combined and a 99 mile per gallon electric equivalent, so quite fuel efficient and quite typical of a normal mid-size family hybrid sedan. And unfortunately, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, my time here with the 2016 Hyundai Sonata plug-in hybrid has now unfortunately come to an end. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this review as much as I have had fun making it for you guys. Now, if you guys like what you see, feel free to like, subscribe, and/or comment. And again, a huge thanks to Humble Hyundai for allowing me this rather rare opportunity to get up close and personal with the rather uncommon version of their hybrid family sedan. But again, guys, from here in the north end of Houston, Texas, this is Grand Prix GTP 02 signing out until next time.